10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Growing bolder, what's next?
With Mark and Bill and Laura.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Growing Boulders What's Next. I'm Mark, along with Bill and Laura. And guys, at this moment last week, at exactly this moment, there was breaking news. There was a tropical depression that was named a tropical storm, Laura. And we laughed about it a little bit, which obviously we should not have, because it turned out to be a pretty darn big deal, didn't it?
It sure did. I mean, we were all watching that. Category 5 is insane. We never have one that big. And I have to say, I put a lot of spiritual energy in trying to make that thing fizzle out.
Well, I think you did pretty good relative to expectations, but certainly our thoughts and prayers are with the folks in Louisiana. Excuse me, this morning for sure. But one of the weird things, Bill, is when hurricanes hit us in Florida or impact us to some extent, we breathe easy and think, okay, that's it. But then we watch what happens in the aftermath, even after it's been downgraded. The flooding and everything that it reached you last time, didn't it, Laura?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're not fooling around. We always have to really listen when they warn us to evacuate and to prepare. You can't mess around with these storms anymore.
And when you see them forming, and almost every day you hear the weather guys talk about, well, what's coming, what could be. Well, we all get a little tense, and I think that's where kind of like the attempt for a little levity comes from there. And Mark, don't they predict there's going to be an active season still yet to come in the month of September? So I'll keep our eye out.
Well, I think given what's happened with climate change, the warming of the waters, this is kind of the new normal, unfortunately. But all right, let's talk about what's coming up, because we've got a great show. We're going to give you an inside look at how this program came about. We'll share some inspiring insights on aging from some really big names that you guys will recognize. But first, we want to try something different today. I mean, do you want to be on this show? I mean, right now, today, we want to include you guys. We want to include viewers in the show and hear from you. So, we're going to try to give you guys a prompt and see if there's anybody out there that is bold enough to take us up on it. So basically the prompt today is, what do you like about growing older? What are you most looking forward to in the days and years ahead?
And we know it is sometimes a challenge to be growing older and bolder, but we think you're up to it. And as a matter of fact, Dolores, I know you're always watching. So let's hear from you. I know you've got some opinions. We have regular viewers each week with us. Take the prompt, come online. Maybe we'll see your face. Maybe we'll just use your comment, but we'd love for you to be part of this show. This is not just about us. It's about all of us.
So I think the way it works is you write in the comment that, hey, I've got something to share, and we'll send you a link that you can click on. And when you click on the link, well, if you can tell us in under a minute the answer to Mark's question, what is it that excites you about aging? We'll give you a shot, huh? A little bit of airtime, a little bit of time to talk about the best things that you've experienced about aging. Come on, do it. That's growing bolder. Leave your comment below.
It's really easy. Just put something in the comment, and Jackie or one of our producers will reach out to you. All right. In the meantime, let's give you a little backstory about how this show came about. American Public Television put out a call to producers nationwide a couple of years ago. They were looking for a new pledge program that would appeal to an older audience, something that would inspire them to want to live big, bold lives. And, I actually have a chapter in my book, Growing Bolder, Defy the Cult of Youth. It's called Launchpad to What's Next. So we decided, what the heck, let's build a show around that concept. So we submitted the program. We were named a finalist. We flew to Baltimore and competed live on stage against the other 4 finalists. And guess what? We took home the big check. And if only that was all it cost to produce the program. But it was really, really a lot of fun. And in a minute, we're going to share with you some of the highlights from the show. But first, we want to show you the open, and then we're going to show you the very end. So here's how it all began. This is Growing Boulder's Launchpad to What's Next.
You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out good.
I still get jacked up listening to that open.
It's pretty cool. You know, we'd recorded the show as well. It was in front of a live audience. We weren't sure how it was going to go. It sold out. And the crowd reaction was awesome the whole way through. There was electricity and energy in the room because we knew that the concept of talking about what's next, of knowing that there always can be a what's next and helping others find the way to what's next is a powerful and exciting endeavor. Well, how exciting was it? As soon as the program was over, here's what people had to say.
The place was mobbed today. It was sold out. That just shows you how much interest there is in this kind of thinking. The speakers were great.
I thought it was an excellent program. I really did enjoy it. I loved their message about changing the way we look at aging and changing the way people age by their own behavior, by their own thoughts, and by their own choices. That was huge.
I thought it was phenomenal. It was inspiring, it was informative, educational, and it was just really an uplifting show for sure.
It was amazing. I mean, it seemed to every one of us that we were saying we are living these things, but we needed validation. If there was ever any validation, we got it tonight.
Growing bolder means to me doing all the things that I always wanted to do and being able to do them now.
Growing bolder is just that very thing, is choosing to age in a different way by how you think and how you behave.
I'm excited. I'm 80 years old, and I feel like I'm starting new because now I think I got 20 years to go. I see guys that are playing tennis at 100 and water skiing at 92, and I'm only 80. Only, I'm saying. And I never said that a year ago.
That's fantastic, you guys. That is so great. You know, everyone needs a pep rally now and again.
And doesn't it seem like if you can flip the way we look at aging to where a guy says, I'm 80, only 80, how powerful, how life-changing, how societal changing is that?
Yeah, this is why we love this program, and we're each going to share with you a few of our favorite clips, but we have already got several people that have taken our challenge and want to join the program today. So we'll punch them in coming up in a moment. We'll squeeze them in and hear what they're excited about aging. But, you know, one of our speakers, and we really had an eclectic group of thought makers, you know, agents of transformation, was Dr. Bill Thomas, who is a Harvard-trained geriatrician. He's the guy who transformed long-term care worldwide. And he had one of my favorite presentations of all. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I've been watching you. I know what you're capable of. So let me say this. Life is good. I got to this point where I am today by trying a lot of things that didn't work, by being frustrated and disappointed in my own efforts, in my own work. I got here because I was gradually able to listen to the voices of people older than me. And they had one big, important idea for me that they gifted to me, and I'm going to give it to you tonight. In America, we think aging is a problem. Aging's not a problem. Aging is a process that allows you to surrender the things that matter least. Aging lets you surrender what matters least so that you can take a hold of what matters most. Now, there's a world out there waiting for you. Go live. Life is good.
I love that. You know, the power of aging, understanding what's important and not worrying about the stuff that we have to let go of.
It's absolutely true. And, you know, it's a message that it's not really a difficult one, but you have to be reminded of it consistently. And I think that's what, when we talk about finding your tribe, having people around you, like we have here, the people who are watching, that we all believe that same philosophy.
Yeah, and you people are watching now. Do you kind of feel it? Do you feel that it kind of breeds a little bit of excitement in you? Somebody's reaching for your potential, helping you be more than you can be, helping you want to shoulder into life instead of standing back on your heels. And Bill Thomas is great because not only does how you live make a difference in how long you live, but it turns out that where you live makes a difference too. And this is really interesting. Turns out that longevity is affected 75% by your lifestyle and only 25% by your genetics or by, you know, your predetermined coding. And this is huge. So where do people who live the longest actually live? That's what another one of our speakers has spent his life researching. Dan Buettner has spent years studying this question, and he found where those areas are, and he made some fascinating discoveries about them. Here's Dan.
So we've come all the way to Miami, which used to be the gold standard of retirement, only to discover that things have really changed. So I'm here to give you a few secrets to make sure that you are on the launch pad to what's next when it comes to retirement. Over the last 20 years, I've identified and traveled to 5 parts of the world where people live the longest. They're called blue zones, and these are places where people are reaching age 100 at the highest rates. They're avoiding the chronic diseases that are killing us, and they're living quality life. And one of the big secrets they're teaching us is the importance of living with a purpose. And when I say purpose in terms of blue zone, I don't mean just going and playing golf or pursuing some hobby. In blue zones, they use words like ikigai or plan de vida, and it's sort of a hybrid between not only living out your passion, but also a sense of responsibility. It's doing things with your life that not only fulfill your values and fulfill your passions, but also give back, either helping the younger generations, helping the community, or somehow making life better for people around you. So what's next when it comes to retirement are people who get out and they think of their life as something more meaningful than just self-gratification.
Again,
Amen.
very powerful, isn't it, Mark? How living longer is only desirable if we're living better, and those are the lessons that Dan has found in the blue zones.
And if you have the chance to watch the whole show, I really encourage that you do, because the rest of Dan's message is really incredible. His words about diet are, again, something you need to hear all the time. Put the snacks in the snack drawer and eat the vegetables. He goes into a little bit more detail than that. So our next guest coming up, and this was one of my favorite presentations. And actually, we had Diana Nyad here on the show. I don't know if you remember. If you didn't see her, here you're getting a second chance. Fearless woman. Now, I'm not saying we're all could be possibly as fearless as she is, but if you can get anywhere near what she did, you are going to be living a very happy, passionate, fulfilled life. So Diana Nyad decided that she was going to swim from Cuba to Florida. Wow. Long way, right? Well, she tries it once, she tries it twice. She ends up trying 5 times over 35 years. And you know when she did it? 64. At 64 years old, without a shark cage, she swam from Cuba to Florida. Take a listen. We have an extended clip of her speech.
Start by playing you my song. This is the humorous part of the program. Reveille, get up. Don't miss the dawn. Don't miss your life. Chase your dreams. Be bold. Fail. Find out who you are. And I was lucky. This ethic came into my life when I was very young. Age 9, the Cuban Revolution broke out. Literally overnight, thousands of Cubans flooded into my hometown, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We had a buzzing mystique about that forbidden island right off our shores. One day I was on the beach with my mother and I said, Mom, where is it? I want to see Cuba. It's out there, but I can't see it. She said, it's there. No, it's there. It's right across the horizon there. As a matter of fact, it's so close that you could even swim there. Swim there? Well, as it turns out, through the 1970s, my 20s, I was one of the best ocean swimmers in the world, open water. I had records for the Bay of Naples in Italy, Manhattan Island, Lake Ontario, and all those, believe me, were grand adventures. But Cuba was in my soul. And now, the ocean swimmers started to call the Cuba swim the Mount Everest of the Earth's oceans. Since 1950, the great ocean swimmers, men, women, strong, fast, have been trying to get across. It's a vast, dangerous, epic wilderness out there. The distance is undeniable. Over 100 miles in the open sea nonstop. Have I mentioned the sharks at all yet? But these are the oceanic whitetips. The lemons, the tigers, 50, 60 miles offshore. They're hungry, and they're quick, and they're aggressive, and they're always underneath you. The box jellyfish emits the most potent venom on planet Earth. More people have died from the box than from shark bites. It's an epic endeavor, and to me, it was never just another endurance event. It was an emblem of living life to the nth degree. 1978, I walked down to the shore in Havana, 28 years old, brash, cocky, jellyfish, get out of my way. The wind whipped up and we were in an 8-foot sea for 42 hours. The next year, and the training is what it's all about, 14 hours one day, 16 hours the next day. We couldn't get a break with the wind. It came out of the east all year long and bumped up against that Gulf Stream. The next year, we couldn't get a break with the visas. No American gets into Cuba, and now I'm 30. The age of retirement for most world-class athletes, and the knock on the door has come from the wide world of sports and Fox Sports and National Public Radio. I'm not going to complain about those next 30 years. I left my beautiful Cuba dream behind, but I'm following the best in the world pursue their excellence. And every time someone would try to make the Cuba swim, I like to think myself a sporting person. I'm retired, but when they wouldn't make it, I do a little happy dance. You know, it's illogical, but somehow the dream is still alive out there. Approaching 60, I started to feel the malaise of a spectator. At least those people trying to come across were doing something. I went rummaging around my office for a poem I had read once, The Summer's Day. I must have read those last 2 lines, those brilliant rhetorical lines, 1,000 times during that month of turning 60. Tell me, what is it you're doing with this one wild and precious life of yours? I hadn't swum a stroke in 30 years. I didn't know if the shoulders would come back. I didn't know if the will would fire up again. But that's what I decided to do with this one wild and precious life. I knew it was going to take tapping down into every fiber of my potential, summoning every drop of my courage, and the courage to fail, not the courage to succeed. We put it together. The expedition, I don't do this alone. And we failed. Trained another entire year, put it together again, failed again. Now, wrapped with the tentacles of the box jellyfish all over the biceps, down the back, anaphylactic shock, spinal cord paralyzing, swam through the night screaming, I'm on fire, help me. And I didn't make it But I didn't give up on it either. And now we tried a fourth time, and we failed again. And now the whole world called this event absolutely impossible. But what those sports journalists and scientists and the public at large didn't understand that, yes, this endeavor is about a number of things, but nothing more than the power of the human spirit. And we, me and my team, we were still believers. So it's a fifth time. I stand on the shore of Havana, looking out at a horizon that now looks more elusive than it ever did before. And I take the leap. And that was 53 hours, 111 miles of some awe-inspiring gliding over the curvature of the earth and some profound suffering. It's been 5.5 years now since the stumble up onto that beach. And yes, I can remember the moment of triumph, but more so, what stayed with me is my will and a team's refusal to give up. So I stand before you tonight, retired from my sport a second time, and every day reminding myself to dream big, to be unafraid to fail, because that's when I'll find my true grit, and to never, ever give up. Thank you very much.
Oof, she is one powerful woman.
Can I ask you guys something? Where does that, I get the dream big part. Where does the unafraid to fail part? How do you do that? That's the hard. That seems to me to be the hardest of all.
And it's physical. She went through physical pain.
I think most people who have that kind of success, maybe other than Michael Jordan, if you have seen The Last Dance, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They don't do it to win. They don't do it to succeed. They just do it because they love the challenge, and the fact that she made it, just puts a nice bow on it. But I kind of suspect if she hadn't done it the fifth time, she would have tried a sixth and a seventh. And at some point we would see a 75-year-old woman out there trying to do it. But for now, let's take a look at Thea Daniels from The Art of Healing. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Thea. Hey, all right. It apparently is not as easy as we thought it was going to be to get somebody on the show that was paying attention. But Thea was the first to do it. What is The Art of Human Connection, Thea?
Uh-oh. Thea, we can't hear you.
Is her mic muted?
I think you can hear me.
There we go.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Wow, this is a dream come true. So that is what the Art of Human Connection is you guys put it out there and I jumped on it. And you were just talking about that willingness to overcome your fear. And so the concept of the Art of Human Connection is when the fear of looking foolish or being judged pales in comparison to the fear of actually not going ahead and doing something that you really want to do. So when you connect with that part of yourself, it's kind of like, here you are, here's where you want to be. And you bring that together step by step and get to the heart of the matter and live. I'm not saying anything unique or different. People have said it's about sharing, it's about living with passion. And with more days behind you than in front of you, we as more mature people get to have the opportunity to share the calmness and the experience and have less fear about moving forward.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And hang around. And Mikey, let's bring in Carol Ann, because Carol Ann has just clicked in too. I've known Carol Ann for a while. Carol Ann is a mover and a shaker who runs the business incubator at UCF. She helps people start ventures. Carol Ann, what's on your mind today? Why are you excited about growing older?
I think in a lot of ways, we're all saying the same thing, but maybe in our own personal ways. Things that resonate with me a lot that I've already heard this morning, or this whole concept of, as I get older, being able to understand, to see based on experience and wisdom and life lessons, what's not important and what is important. For me personally, as an individual, be okay with that. Just there's a calmness and a serenity that I've found as I get older that just is such a magical place to be. And part of that is because I have come to accept myself as who I am as a unique human being on this planet, and the gifts that I've been given, the skills that I've had a chance to learn, the contributions that I've had a chance to make and will still have a chance to make. So it's just a wonderful process. So thank you.
Amen. Now we got a television program here, folks. We've got some real superstars. So let's wrap up this part of it. And would each of you kind of just give us your takeaway? Theo, what do you think? I mean, is there? I mean, you've already given us some profound stuff, but what have you learned about life in general that the rest of us should know?
I don't know if you can see this right way. But it's the best book on how to live life. I discovered it through reading it to my children, and I hand it out to my friends of all ages for birthdays. It's like, you will succeed, 98.75% guaranteed, no matter who you are. And with the experience of life behind us, we know that, and we get to go out and share it.
Wow. Thea, thank you so much for being bold, for exercising the art of human connection, because you really brought something to the party. Carol Ann, wrap it up for us. What's your takeaway on life in general?
The older I get, the more I can allow myself to be young. I find that child in myself every day. My husband tells me that. My friends tell me that. The process of getting older allows me to be younger, frankly.
Amen. Wow, this was fun. All right, so folks, that's how it's done. We will continue to do this. Carol Ann and Thea, thank you so much. Hang around if you want, but we're going to press on with the show because I think, Billy, you're about ready to talk about one of your buddies.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, just to be clear, folks, those are two people who are watching, just like you. And they clicked on a link and came in, and these two people, Mark and Laura, they fit right in with the Growing Boulder launch pad to what's next. The same attitude and the same messages. Wasn't it great?
Oh, I love her. Thea saying that getting older allows you to be younger, that she goes out and acts like a kid. I love that. We have to take that one with us.
And, I think, very honestly, I think there used to be a time when people would say stuff like that, knowing it really wasn't true or they really didn't mean it. But when you hear the conviction, and not just the speakers, but the people that are joining us on our Facebook show, on our television show, on our radio show, on our magazine, you start to see the power of Growing Boulder. And one thing that binds us together as well is music. Music's really important, especially the music of the 60s and the 70s when Jimmy Webb is writing all of his greatest songs. But there is just a wealth of connection there. And going back to our live Launchpad to What's Next presentation, one of our speakers was Roger McGuinn. You guys all know the Byrds, right? Whenever anybody asks what is one of the most influential bands in the history of rock, the Byrds always comes up because Roger was the guy who innovated. He's credited with creating pop rock and psychedelic rock. He was a major influence on people like George Harrison and Tom Petty and Bruce Springsteen even. And today, Roger McGuinn is one of our closest allies and biggest supporters at Growing Boulder. He has been from the beginning. He's 78 now. He's still going strong. And you know what he says the secret is to Growing Boulder? Just put a Beatle beat to your life.
But I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. Hi, I'm Roger McGuinn. I was one of the lead singers in the Byrds. I sang on Mr. Tambourine Man, Turn, 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 8 Miles High. So you want to be a rock and roll star. Miles Davis got us a record contract on Columbia Records. They gave us a record deal, but it was only for one single. And if we got a hit with that single, we could go back in the studio and record the rest of the album. Well, nobody thought any of the songs we'd written up to that point were strong enough to be a single hit. But our manager, Jim Dixon, had overheard a couple of record guys in Hollywood talking about Bob Dylan, saying, you know, it's a shame Bob can't use that great new song he just wrote because somebody was singing out of tune on the recording. Well, we got a copy of it sent out to LA. We all sat around and listened to it, and it sounded something like this. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there's no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come following you. And David Crosby said, I don't like it, man. Said that folky 2/4 time, and it's too long. It's never going to play on the radio. Well, I had an idea of how to fix that song up for radio. I've been playing around on my guitar with a little Bach. I thought, what if I put something like that on the front and the back for an intro and an outro? And we cut it down to one verse. Oh, and we picked the verse about boot heels because the Beatles had these really cool boots. And I put the Beatle beat to it, the one that Hal Blaine invented, and it came out like... Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there ain't no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you. And it worked. #1 in 13 countries. So what's a Beatle beat in your life? Putting two things together, making something new out of them. Is that something you feel like doing? I think you probably can.
Yeah, he's an inspiring guy, and what a great inspiration. Roger McGuinn, thank you so much for believing in Growing Bolder, because we sure believe in you.
I love that whole idea of taking an idea that wasn't quite there and not throwing it away, but saying, I think I can fix this. It's terrific. And we have another speaker who was with us, Dr. Jim Smith Jr., and talk about mesmerizing, uplifting, entertaining. He says something that I think about every day. He says, you die once, you live every day. So go for it. He is a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and he has some fantastic words of wisdom for us today.
1, get rid of the bucket list. Get rid of it. When I think of bucket list, I think of eventually one day, someday, I'm going to get around to it. No, now. So get rid of that bucket list. Jump now. Number 2, own your choices. And this is about personal accountability and responsibility. Own your choices. Because when we're younger, we look a lot like our parents. But when we get older, we look a lot like our choices. What are you choosing? Are you choosing to jump? And finally, embrace uncertainty. Feel the fear and move in. Embrace ambiguity. We wait for everything to be right all the time. That's not life. Embrace uncertainty. You may want to write this one down. You only die once. You live every day. You live every day. So as you're going forward, remember, as we grow bolder, let's jump every day. Jump every day. Jump every day.
Wow. You know, that's just a taste of the program, folks. And I think you understand now why we actually took it on the road. I had several venues planned when the pandemic hit, but as soon as we can, we're back out with a nationwide tour of Launchpad to What's Next. And, you know, Until then, we do have something special just for you. If you'd like to see the entire show and have unlimited access to other premium Growing Bolder content, just go to growingbolder.com/portal. And when you get there, leave your credit card in your wallet. Just use the access code INSIDER and you will be in exclusive content in our members only area. And here's something else for you folks. Yesterday, we debuted our Art of Caregiving online summit. It was a great success. If you need a lift, and you can use some free, great resources, including a guide to caregiving, an ebook on caregiving, and a whole lot more, just go to growingbolder.com caregiving summit, because the entire 90-minute summit has been posted there, and you can watch it and take advantage of all of the resources at no cost.
Yeah, one of the things that we're working on very hard here at Growing Bolder is to give you the kind of resources you need to navigate some of life's hurdles. And we don't think Medicare should be one of them. So we're now producing a Medicare 101 Summit. It's going to be built around Growing Bolder's outrageously interesting and, dare we say, easy to understand guide to Medicare. So listen, if you're in your 60s, or if you even care about anyone who is in their 60s, this is for you. Join us as we take on Medicare 101, because, guys, it can be confusing and it can be difficult.
I love it. Leave it to Growing Bolder to make Medicare sexy. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, really, we greatly encourage you to take advantage of all the things Growing Bolder has to offer, including our weekly meme. We love to share a thought, so let's show you this. Read along with me. It's not who you are that's holding you back. It's who you think you're not. Look, there's always going to be people out there who are smarter, better qualified, better funded, more connected, or glib, bigger personality, whatever. But that's not what it's about. It's about the size of your heart. That's what Diana Nyad said. It's what Jim Smith said. It's what Roger McGuinn is all about. The strength of your belief is what makes a difference. The determination of your character. Those are the things that lead to success. So what stops us more than anything, it's us. It's our own self-doubts, our own fears, our own questions that hold us back. Ignore them. Step forward. Find issues that matter to you and make a difference.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up with what's on my mind. Actually, I got two things on my mind. The first is how in the heck we can get Thea and Carol Ann to join us when we do our Launchpad Live shows, because I think they would definitely bring something to the party. And finally, as you guys know, I just mentioned we had our big caregiving summit yesterday. It was extremely timely because the CDC, Harvard Medical School, and many others, including our friends at Archangels, collaborated on a first of its kind survey, a study that was released last week that underscored how the pandemic has impacted our mental and physical health. And it was really stunning. It showed that almost 41% of all of the respondents are now struggling with mental health issues that are stemming directly from the pandemic. And this includes symptoms of stress and anxiety and depression. Overall, 13% of all respondents said that they had started or increased substance use, drugs or alcohol, and 11% said that they had seriously considered suicide in the last 30 days. And of course, there are many subgroups within this survey that fared much worse than the rest, and those included obviously minority communities, essential workers, young adults, and the group that is struggling the most right now is the group that consists of unpaid caregivers, of which there are, depending upon which study you pay attention to, at least 53 million in this country. A staggering 66% of all unpaid caregivers say that they have suffered adverse mental health symptoms like extreme anxiety or depression just since the pandemic began, and 31% say that they have seriously considered suicide in the last 30 days. You know, the only subgroup, and this is fascinating, that had numbers even more alarming than that were young adults, 18 to 24, who have, seen their lives just turned upside down. All of a sudden, they don't know, what their future is going to be, what their plans are going to be. 75% of young adults now say that they are suffering with anxiety and depression. So the takeaway for me is, we have got to reach out to get help if we need it. We've talked to many people, and we just cannot help ourselves if we are suffering from mental illness. It can't be done. We need to have help. So if you feel like you need help, or you know someone who you think might need help, don't take any chances. Reach out. So here's a number you can call, and you should always have it nearby. It's the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Mental illness is always a big deal. Depression, stress-related anxiety disorders are everywhere these days. So let's all be aware of that and help one another out, because as Thea said, we're all in this together.
Wow.
You know what I say to people so often is depression, mental illness. It's just like saying I have diabetes or I have a heart condition. There is no shame attached to it. It is a physical ailment, and you've got to deal with it and take your medications and talk to people and reach out.
Yeah, I think sometimes, Laura, one of the hardest parts is admitting it to yourself and not being afraid to go ahead and take that step and to try to find help. And Mark, I think it's a great point. Sometimes I think that people get the impression that Growing Bolder is just about how to maximize the good times. But no, we've seen the power of support in our Launchpad to What's Next. It's about different people coming to inspire us to face up to, yes, the good times, but to life's challenges, to the frustrations, to the things that don't go right. This is where we need each other most. This is where the Growing Bolder attitude can make all the difference in just existing or truly living.
All right, we got to go. Laura, you're going to wrap it up, but I see Thea still in the green room. So, Mikey, let Thea join us as we say goodbye. Thea, thank you for being bold and showing everybody how it's done. We greatly appreciate it. Laura, take us home.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Thea. And in the words of Diana Nyad, I challenge you this week to do something with your wild and precious life.
Amen.
And then come back here on Friday and tell us all about it.
Oh, will do.
Growing Bolder, what's next?